project on Behance because, like I said, most of you actually have the Adobe products, and it would be great if you could be a little self-motivated here and put some projects up. 3 or 4 projects would be great. That is ideally if we were in class together. That would be the ideal sort of scenario for this. Would be to use your Behance account, get your Behance account up and running, start working on projects, working on layout. Obviously, we're in a different situation. So for this week at least, we're going to work on our Behance accounts. And it'd be great if you guys could get some stuff uploaded. So what I did here was I exported an annual report that I did, and you'll see that I just did it as pages to make life a little bit easier for me right now. Okay, but you can put it in spreads. It doesn't really matter. All right, it's up to you, really. You're going to find out that just using straight Behance has its limitations in terms of setting up a layout for your portfolio. So here's my Behance account. I didn't add a profile picture. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm going to create a project. Okay, and you can do that up there or right here. So here's my project editor. So the first thing I want to do is upload some files. Now, you can straight upload these. Okay, and when you do that, give it a second here. All right, it's going to basically drop them all right down. Now I did it backwards, I believe. Okay, I don't know why it does that. It just does. And you'll notice that right now it's not that great. I can do this, which is give some image some breathing room, which is kind of nice. It kind of moves it in so people can see it. I can also go through here and edit. I can reorder the project. So if I needed to, I could drag these around and move them any which way I need to move them. Okay, which is always nice, and save the new order. All right, which gives that the ability to kind of, at least maneuver it a little bit. Okay, so that's one way, is just to straight upload it. Okay, which you can see it's fine. It has its limitations. I think these are still uploading, I'm assuming. And it's kind of boring. If you look at other, and I'll put some other Behance accounts in there for you. If you look at other Behance accounts, I'll put a former student of ours. It's just some other professional designers. You'll see kind of how they get creative about it. But you can preview, so you can see what people are going to see. And right now, this is the view, and it's really difficult. I can zoom in on a page, and then it'll give me the full page. Okay, so I can actually flip through the pages this way, which is nice. But when I first go to it, it's kind of just in your face. So in some cases, it's nice to sort of have a starting page or something that's a little bit more easier to look at than this is. Okay, so that's the one thing I can do. I can also go through and edit and delete images. Okay, so you can see how I can, and I can save. All right, let that save for a second. All right, then I'm going to go back to my profile real quick. I'm just doing this to kind of get rid of the project piece of this. So all right, so that's one way to do it, straight up files. If I wanted to do a magazine, I could do a photo grid. All right, so a photo grid, now if I set up my photo grid and I add my images, you'll see how a photo grid kind of works. All right. And so for a magazine layout, this might be nice. Now here, if I was going to do a photo grid, I'd probably simplify my life on this, and I would export the page as spreads. And that way, it would just give me less images I'd have to move around. Okay? But you'll see that a photo grid is kind of nice. I'm just, as I'm talking as this is uploading, because it gives you the ability to sort of go ahead and manipulate and change and have everything up at once. And again, I'm just waiting for this to upload. Let me do this while we're waiting for that to upload. If you're going to do a logo, so let me open up a logo. All right, and here's my Smelts logo, and I'm going to export it, and I'm going to put it on the desktop. My artboard as a JPEG. I'm going to export RGB high. Okay. I may want to also, all right, not just plot. So here this is. So now this is what you see. Okay, is the photo grid. So this is a bit daunting when you first look at it. And again, you can zoom in. The viewer can zoom in and see the pictures. So this is another way to do it. you can edit this as well. So I can go to this grid, I can reorder the project, okay? If I have multiple projects, I can go in and I can edit the grid. So I can move stuff around, shift it. And this is where I said, if I was doing a magazine, I'd probably do it in spreads. You guys don't have anything like this right now, because that way I can just have to move the spreads as opposed to each individual page. Okay, you can add photos, you can custom, so I can change the order. All right, I'm going to cancel this out for now. All right, I can edit the styles of the layout, so I can, if I have multiple projects. All right, so let's actually, you know what? Just so it's, because it'll bother me if I don't have it. If I pull up the Commerce Choice logo, so they have a lot of files. There we go. All right, so here's their logo. So I'm going to export as a JPEG to the desktop. Use the artboard. RGB. All right. So let's say I want to add, let's save this particular project. So we've got the photo grid and it sounds layouts. We'll continue. So this would be called annual report. All right, and you're picking a cover photo from one of the pieces. So I might pick any of these. Okay. Basic info, you got to add a creative field, so you could add a creative field of graphic design. You can add multiples if you want. Tools used, all right, you want to pick, you know, InDesign, all right. Copyright licenses, co-owners, helpers, none of that. And then you can hit save, or you can hit publish, all right. And saving just leaves it here, okay. So it gives me the ability to kind of not necessarily publish what I want to do yet. All right. I'm not sure why this isn't showing up. I'm a little concerned that it's not showing up. So let's go here for a sec. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll come back to that in a second. So let me add my photo grid. I'm just going to pick a few of these because I don't want to take forever to upload. You can embed media, so eventually you're going to have motion graphics, you'll have an animated logo, you'll be able to put in there as well, which is kind of nice. You can add text, so I could say down here and say, okay, any of that. So again, I'm going to continue, annual report, crop and continue, creative field, and then you're going to have to pick a creative field. You can pick multiple if you want. You don't. I want tools in there. So again, InDesign, all right, and I can hit publish. This will publish the project, all right. And so now I've got my annual report. So if you go to my profile, here's my project, okay. So there's one project. Okay, now let's say I wanted to add something to it. Right? And I'm kind of working on this. I can go here, I can edit, I can unpublish, I can delete, okay? So now let's say I wanted to add another file. So let's add let's add their logo, all right? Now the logo's here. What I want to do is reorder it. So I must have multiple. I'm not really sure what it's doing. It's one of those days. So I'm going to delete the multiple copies of this because I'm not sure why that's doing that. So I can reorder my project. So I want to have this guy go on the top here, save the new order. So now you'll have this. Now I can go here and I can edit my style. So what I can do is I can put more space between a project. See that? Which is kind of nice. I can also add a header space. You can put dividers, so I could say I want a divider, which is kind of cool, and then I can go back to my spacing, and you can see kind of what that's going to add to it, all right? And so I could save this, and then the same thing here is going through and changing anything up that I want to give space to. So this just kind of, again, visually lets you sort of rearrange things and manipulate them. So if you're doing things like a logo, all right, what I want to see is any of your projects that you can, I want to see a mock-up, all right? And what that means is I want you to be able to take, like if I'm going to show just the logo, so if I go back here, and I go back to my profile, and I will add another project, all right, and I'm going to upload first the logo, because that's what I'm going to have. What I want to do is I want to see that logo on something. So, for instance, easiest thing would be a t-shirt. All right? So if I look up a t-shirt blank, and I'm just going to choose large for now, okay? You could have a model wearing it. So I can go here. Okay, I can drag this to the desktop. I can open it up in Photoshop. All right. Then I'm going to open up my AI file. All right. Let me find my logos here. Here he is. Okay. The reason I'm opening up the AI file is I can just drag and drop it right in. All right. And because what I don't want to see is just a plain logo. You'll look at, when we look at a lot of the professionals, all right, you'll look at their setups, and they have, these are called mock-ups. So I'm just going to sort of mock this up, all right, and you can work on, you can try some different modes depending on the type of shirt or something that you put it on. You can see overlay is going to make it disappear, darken, multiply, and that's just going to give it a little bit, you know, you want to just give it, make it look a little realistic. So now I can save this as a JPEG. All right. And I can add this to my Behance page. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So I can upload a file. Here's my copy. Drop this in. Okay, and it just looks a lot nicer, professionally speaking, that this is all here. Now, I would really love to have this be smaller, so I want to scale that down before I upload it. There's no way to scale that down in Behance, unfortunately. Okay, but it's just so gigantic and so huge that I would want to, even if I give it a little space, that's better, but I'd even want it to be smaller so it's just not so just right in front of me. And maybe even showing it in the black and white version and stuff like that. You guys don't have logos yet, but this is just kind of as you think ahead, okay? So that's pretty much it, okay? That's how you kind of get stuff uploaded to Behance. You can shuffle and move it around. I'll put some links on to a couple of Behance pages that are really nice looking, just to give you an idea. When it comes to getting more advanced in your layouts, what you have to do is just bring whatever you want into Photoshop. So if I wanted to do something that was more personalized, I would bring this into Photoshop. All right, I would bring this into Photoshop, and probably what I would do is make a new image. So let's just use the basis of this. All right, I'd use a new image. I would take my friend here, and what's nice about this is because we're on the web, we don't have to go crazy with resolution. All right, I take my buddy here, I paste him here, maybe move him over. Okay, take the logo. Actually, I want the AI version. Oh, you're not there? All right, well, I'll use this one for now, I guess. All right. And if you want to get really creative with your layout, because Behance gives you a nice setup, but when you look at some of the pieces that I give you, you're going to see some of the examples that theirs look more creative layout-wise. And so part of that is how they did that is by going in, I need to make it a little smaller, going into like Photoshop or InDesign and making a layout that was a little more creative. So if I wanted to show that as a piece, okay, You'd have to do that type of thing in Photoshop. Or if you were going to do something that was more like comic book looking, like if you had multiple pieces on there, if you wanted to do, let's say, just to give you an idea, if you wanted to do your magazine layout, and do it this way, you want to do your magazine layout, but you want to make it kind of creative where you'd have, the cover here, and then you'd have a spread and a spread, and then maybe another page here that you want to show off. Okay, I hope I'm giving you the idea here. And just to sort of to be more creative with your layout, you'd have to do something in Illustrator or Photoshop, and then you'd have to export it as a JPEG and just bring that one piece in. The only downside to this is that when they zoom in, they're only going to zoom into this. They wouldn't be able to zoom into each individual image. I'll send you some of the senior stuff, but in some cases what they did is if they had a piece of artwork that they absolutely loved, that they wanted to really show off, they would take part of their poster. So if they had a piece that was something that they wanted to really get into, I don't know if I have anything that's really close, probably not. They would take just that particular piece and they would crop it down. So they have just this, and that would allow them to kind of show off just both of them. They'd take this piece, and if it was a really detailed part of their poster that they'd want to show off, they would put it like that. You know what I mean? Just crop it off. So just some ideas. Hopefully that's not too confusing. The basic setup's pretty much very simple. All right. You create your new project. All right. Upload your files. You can add text if you want. You give it all the information that it wants. Okay. Just start with that, and we'll see where we go from there. Obviously it's only sophomore year, so we don't have a ton of stuff going on, but it'd be nice to get a few projects up there. This whole thing with portfolio, as I said, with your proposal, is extremely fluid and it's extremely living, because next year we're going to go in and we're going to update and change, and then senior year we're going to go in and update and change, and some stuff's going to stay and some stuff isn't. And so I'd say by the time Mr. Nagle and I were looking at it, the senior showcase, the majority of those projects were from junior and senior year, with a few hanging over from sophomore and freshman occasionally. All right. So if you have any questions, email me at the end of this week. The only thing that is due is for you to have your Behance account set up and for you to attach a link into Classroom. And I'd really love for those of you that have the creative software to start putting up some images and practicing that. All right? Thanks, guys.